Welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're tuning in because, wow, today we are tackling something that is just universally frustrating. Look, if you've crossed that 40-year mark, you've probably noticed a really baffling shift. Suddenly, your body doesn't respond the way it used to, and that stubborn weight just starts creeping on for what feels like literally no reason. It's an incredibly annoying reality of metabolic aging. But today, we're going to decode exactly why this happens. We'll dive into the data, look at the biological mechanisms, and most importantly, uncover what you can actually do to take back control.
It's the exact question I know so many of us have been quietly asking ourselves in the mirror. Why do we suddenly gain weight after 40? Seriously, why does it feel like someone just flipped a metabolic switch overnight? That is the core question driving our explainer today. We so often blame ourselves, right? We think we must be slacking off or doing something wrong. But the data we're looking at today reveals a very different, deeply biological story.
Just think back to your 20s for a second. You've got your standard eating habits, your regular lifestyle, and maintaining your weight feels, well, relatively effortless. Now fast forward to your 40s. You're keeping the exact same eating habits, the exact same lifestyle, but the result? Unexplained weight gain. It makes no sense. But this unequivocally tells us that the variable here isn't your willpower. It's not a sudden flaw in your character. The variable is time, it's age. This is our medical mystery. Why does the exact same input suddenly yield a completely different output?
Section 1. The Investigation. Uncovering the hidden biological cascade.
Meet our primary suspect, insulin resistance. Based on the source data, this right here is the core issue for middle-aged folks experiencing these changes. Simply put, insulin resistance is a condition where your body's cells basically just stop listening to insulin. They completely ignore the knock at the door, and when that happens, your body can't process energy efficiently anymore, and it drives that unexplained weight gain we were just talking about. It is the real engine behind this midlife bodily change. To back this up, a study published by the National Center for Biotechnology Information, the NCBI, shows a direct link between the aging process itself and this condition. The study clearly illustrates that insulin resistance just naturally becomes more prevalent as we get older. Aging directly increases your risk. It's a biological hurdle that just kind of pops up as the years pass. But, to truly understand the why behind it, we need to zoom in even further.
Section 2. The mitochondrial culprit. The microscopic cause.
40%. I really want you to let that number sink in for a second. The researchers found that in elderly individuals dealing with insulin resistance, there is a staggering 40% reduction in a very specific cellular capability. That is a nearly half-power drop in how your microscopic biology functions.
So what exactly is dropping by 40%? It's your mitochondrial, oxidative, and phosphorylation capabilities. Yeah, I know, that is a ton of dense medical jargon. But think of it this way. Your mitochondria are essentially the tiny power plants inside your cells. They generate all the energy you need to function. What the science is telling us is that as we age and develop insulin resistance, these cellular power plants become incredibly sluggish. They lose 40% of their ability to process energy properly. They are desperately begging for a reboot. Which naturally leads us to the absolute most important question of this entire explainer. How do we fix broken cellular power plants? If our midlife weight gain is driven by insulin resistance, and that resistance is tied to a 40% decline in our mitochondria, how do we reverse the damage? How do we flip that switch back on?
Section 3. Reversing the resistance. Actionable steps. Okay, here's the really good news. The science makes it incredibly clear that this biological decline is absolutely not a life sentence. You can absolutely take actionable steps to remedy this, and do it pretty quickly. Here is the blueprint directly from the source material. 3 proven methods to reverse insulin resistance and wake up those mitochondria. Step 1. Reduce belly fat. Step 2. Implement fasting, specifically the 16-8 method. And Step 3. Skip breakfast. Let's break these down so you can see exactly how to pull this off.
First and foremost, you've got to safely lose that belly fat. The sources emphasize that targeting abdominal visceral fat is your absolute first line of defense against insulin resistance. By focusing on safe, targeted strategies to reduce this specific type of fat, you actively start restoring your body's metabolic balance. It takes the pressure off your cells and starts rolling back that stubborn resistance.
Now for the ultimate cellular reboot, the source data points heavily towards specific fasting strategies. First up is the 16-8 intermittent fasting method. That means fasting for 16 hours and getting all your meals in during an 8-hour window. A highly effective way to do this, and this is straight from the material, is to just try skipping breakfast for a month.
Just test it out. See how your body responds when you extend that overnight fast. And crucially, you absolutely must cut out dietary sugars. Cutting sugar while using that 16-8 fasting window forces your body to adapt, which dramatically improves how your cells respond to insulin.
Section 4, your next steps. Putting it into action.
Well, we've uncovered the mystery, we've identified the microscopic culprit, and we've laid out the tools to fix it. Now, it's all about putting this knowledge into action. So I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. Will you rethink your morning breakfast routine tomorrow? Based on the science we explored today, the link between aging, that massive 40% drop in mitochondrial function, and insulin resistance, you now have the power to actually change your metabolic trajectory. Whether it's cutting out sugar, adopting the 16-8 fasting method, or just skipping breakfast to give those cellular power plants a chance to reset, you are in the driver's seat. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to take these insights and start experimenting with your own health tomorrow.